Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to talk about, in particular, one thing that I think over encompasses every single basketball game from youth to high school to college to NBA to the Olympics. Every single aspect of basketball, this is a driving force of who is the better team and who ultimately ends up winning. In order to demonstrate this today, we're going to look at 5 games from this year's NBA postseason and look at both sides of the ball and look at how the strategies differed and how that allowed one team to ultimately win that series and the other team to ultimately lose that series. Let's go. All right, the first series we're looking at is Denver versus Minnesota. In particular, we're looking at Minnesota on defense right here and how they're playing Nikola Jokic and how they're playing Aaron Gordon. Both of these is what allowed Minnesota to essentially win this series. Karl-Anthony Towns does not go over the screen. He goes under the screen. He's saying, Jokic, you can't shoot this pull-up jumper right here, even though Jokic is a very good shooter, which is going to come back to a point, the most important point I'm trying to make. And same thing here. While the screen is occurring, Towns goes underneath it, is not worried about Jokic. They're saying, that's fine. We can contest you late and we'll live with that, but you're not going to get to the rim. We're going to show help. Now we're going to contrast that to what Denver was doing on defense. Okay, so we see Minnesota coming up the ball. Ball gets past the Towns. Very good shooter. What does Aaron Gordon do? He doesn't stop short like Minnesota did to them. Instead, Aaron Gordon flies by. What does that give? That gives massive amounts of space to work with for Karl-Anthony Towns. And Towns is able to flush it at the rim with no resistance. Jokic decides not to help out. Probably would have got a foul call. But if you give good athletes that much space, they're going to punish you. Minnesota wins this series. All right, next we're looking at OKC versus Dallas. First, we're looking at Dallas on defense. What did they do versus OKC? Okay, ball's getting brought up. As Shea is going to get downhill right here, we have a switch. Okay, make sure Shea has people in front of him. Okay, ball gets moved around, drive occurs. What is Kyrie doing right here? Okay, his man is right here. He is essentially leaving him and he is helping over. Okay, every single drive, Dallas is going to put 2 bodies in front of you to make sure you don't get anything easy at the rim. Okay, drive happens. What does Luka do? His player's gone all the way out here. Luka's like, I'll stay here. Priority is over here. Defense, we can rotate behind it. We got to make sure if they drive, we put bodies at the rim. Drive happens. What's going to occur? Help. We know that. Okay, help is instantly coming down. Force them to move the ball around and then close out, causing a shot clock violation. All right, now let's compare that to what OKC was doing on defense. Okay, so we have Luka coming up with the ball. Ball screen occurs. All right, so Dallas is big. Essentially, their MO is always trying to get the big involved in the ball screen. Okay, big is involved. They put 2 on the ball. They put 2 with Luka. Say, you're so much of a threat, we got to get the ball out of your hands. This gives one player working with massive amounts of space, 4 on 3. You give them space and numbers advantage. I think that's a dangerous proposition. And even though he misses the first thing, giving him this versus a guard is definitely a winning advantage for Dallas. Undoubtedly a winning situation. Dallas wins this series. All right, so then we jump to Dallas versus Minnesota. We are watching in particular how Dallas is playing defense. We know Anthony Edwards is a very heavy drive threat. In particular, we're watching how they're playing Kyle Anderson. Kyle Anderson is the relative non-shooter from Minnesota. Luka is guarding him, but in reality, Luka is essentially leaving him. Okay, ball gets done here. We get past to Rudy Gobert. What do you see? Big here. We got help coming over immediately. Force Rudy to get rid of the ball. Okay, Luka camps in the paint. Rotate behind it. Okay, Luka's just chilling. He is nowhere near any man whatsoever. He loosely gets over there, but then doesn't even try to close out. And then Anderson doesn't try and shoot either. Hey, ball gets passed down to Gobert. What do? You just send 2 people immediately. They say, Anderson, shoot the ball. Drive happens. Help immediately. Every single instance of that 24-second shot clock, you had multiple bodies showing any kind of help on any drive, anything that got anywhere near the paint. You saw multiple people. Now we can compare this to what Minnesota was doing on defense. They started doing this especially after Luka was playing really well. And so, ball screen happens. How many are they going to put with Luka? They put 2 with Luka. Okay, so you get 1 person playing with 4. He doesn't attack right away, moves the ball around, resets it, and they go back to it. All right, again, we have two players out here, one of them being someone that's not very quick, given Cat, and so Luka's able to get around, which means you have less people on the inside, and Luka, ambitious with the pass, definitely maybe could have gotten there, but regardless, it gives you more opportunity on the inside, and it does end up with a Dallas dunk. And so the overarching concept in those first three games were one, Aaron Gordon, the flyby, and giving bigs the space to work with. Okay? So Minnesota had more space to attack downhill. They got dunks at the rim because of it. Minnesota, on the other hand, was sagging off of Nikola Jokic, okay, giving less space in the paint. The second game, OKC and Dallas, we saw OKC trapped Luka, again giving more space to the bigs, going downhill. And then Dallas showed extra help against OKC. And then finally, for this game, again, the trap of Luka gives more space for everyone else. And then Dallas is still showing aggressive help to everyone as soon as they get anywhere remotely near the paint. So the overarching concept before we go to these last two clips is which team has better spacing. The team that has better spacing allows easier shots on the inside, which creates easier shots on the outside. So the spacing is what I believe is the single most instrumental factor in all these wins, and we're going to see how the Celtics in particular exploited that. Every single game I watched of the Celtics this year showed an effective, essential game plan of where they're trying to exploit spacing on both sides of the floor. So the first one is they all had the green light aggressively, and this is a difficult step back jumper, and Drew Holiday shoots that with confidence, and they shot these routinely throughout every moment of the series. Okay, their goal of that is to create the space in the first place. And then the Celtics on defense, when Pascal gets the ball down here, what do? Hey, what is Drew doing? Nowhere near his player. What is Derek doing? Nowhere near his player. What is Al Horford doing? Nowhere near his player. He's got 4 or 5 bodies surrounding him right here, forcing him to shoot a difficult shot instead of getting closer to the rim. And yeah, he makes this, but this shows what the Celtics were trying to do on defense, limit spacing, and on offense, they're trying to do the exact opposite. As this ball gets moved around, how are they creating spacing? Rotation happens. Boom. Skip to the other side. What does Derek White do? He says, we need spacing. I'm going to shoot this ball. What does that force to do? It says, Indiana, you have to close out harder, which gives us more space on the inside. Very next possession. Okay? Ball gets passed to Drew Holiday. He says, don't you dare go back to the inside. Stay with me. I'm on the outside. I am the threat. Shoot the ball from the outside. Joe Mazzulla's game plan all season long is to create spacing on offense by stretching the floor and shrink spacing on defense by playing like a pack line style defense. All right, let's start with the Celtics on defense versus the Mavs. Hey, what's happened? Drive happens. Hey, we got 1 help, 2 help. Derek White is there. Hey, rotate behind it. That's fine. As this drive happens, Derek White says, you know what? Jones isn't that good of a shooter. I'll just chill in the paint. Hey, great pass, Luka. Celtics are like, fantastic pass. What do we care? He can't shoot the ball. Hey, we saw this the whole series. They ignored Washington and Jones. They just left them. They did not care. And then on the other side, what do? They have a little bit of a delay. Closing out Al Horford. Yep, green light. Bingo. Shoot the ball. And what's the result of this spacing? This is the ultimate eventual outcome. As first off, Jaylen Brown not afraid to shoot this ball. Puts it up. Hey, ball gets kicked out. And then when Jason Tatum has this right here, he deems this is what he has an advantage. You have shooters you know are all not afraid to shoot the ball. So everyone has to stay home, stay home, stay home, and stay home. What does that mean? That means you give space for Jason Tatum to work one-on-one, and he wins that battle a lot of the time. This is the philosophy the Celtics are banking on, and this is the philosophy that allowed the Celtics to be one of the better teams that we've seen in the past few years. So in conclusion, the single most important feature that allows you to win basketball games from any level all the way up till NBA is spacing. If you enjoyed this, feel free to like and subscribe. Most importantly, have a blessed rest of your day.